Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream and welcome back to the channel for more Destiny 2 news and intel. Today's video is going to be your weekly Monday PSA, a reminder of everything that is going to be leaving us tomorrow at the weekly reset time that you probably want to jump on as soon as possible in order to pick up. Some of these items have not been available for a very long time, if ever, so we're going to cover all of them as well as all the other interesting farms that you might want to participate in the last 24 hours that they are available, some of them at least. There's a couple that we'll talk about that will continue on for the next few weeks, at least until the end of Rite of the Nine and the launch of Edge of Fate. We'll also be covering some general Destiny 2 or Bungie news, as always. Big shout out to everybody who on my last video contributed or donated to the channel. I've never had that happen before. Thank you all so much. I can't really tell you how much I appreciate it. The support was absolutely amazing and, to be honest, completely unexpected. As I said, I've only had maybe a few donations to the channel in the previous several years that I've been making content for Destiny. So to have almost, I think it was 20 or so people or more actually donate to the channel, it really was quite incredible, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It was really something. It really made my year, if I'm being perfectly honest, to see something like that. So thank you all so much. And I did want to also say that today is my birthday. So if you watch this channel on occasion, you'll know that I, of course, do my secret hashtags at the end of every single video. You can also, of course, leave a comment down below about any of the topics of discussion in today's video. Any of those things I just mentioned, as well as liking, commenting, and subscribing will give you another entry into the next giveaway. For today's video, we're not going to wait around till the end, though you can, of course, for a different hashtag you can leave in the comment section, or another comment, or maybe something I mispronounced. But for today, I just want everybody to leave a comment down below about how old you think I am turning, your best guess. And any guess will give you another entry into the next giveaway for this video. Remember, we do one every 1,000 subscribers, so you never want to miss out. And when we reach 100,000 subscribers on the channel, we'll be giving away a new console or a video card if you play on PC. But thank you again so much. I really can't thank this community enough. I think I have the best community in the Destiny 2 community as a whole. We might not be the biggest, but we are certainly tight-knit, and that's why I like to respond to all the comments down below, just to show my true gratitude and know that we're all just gamers here. And though you might tune in to my channel to get your information, I get as much information and joy from hearing from you. So thank you all so much for contributing to the channel yourself. It's not just me. This is a group thing, and I just really can't tell you enough how gracious I am for all the support over the last year and many years, if you're somebody who's been watching for several years on this channel. But that's enough of that. We'll get into the actual information that I just needed to tell you all that. It really was something special for me personally. So thank you again. A couple of things that are going to be leaving tomorrow. We had the Royal Treatment shader. We have the Seven Sisters shader as well for Bright Dust. I have also made notice that over on our seasonal page, you can actually get the Eerie armor set for 6,000 Bright Dust. And in this video, we will cover a few Bright Dust farming methods. I will make a more consequential video on it later, but I have been running a little bit behind on getting the creation done for that. So I will cover a few topics just quickly in this video that I think will at least send the more veteran players off on the right track if you've just been curious about how to farm up some easy Bright Dust, maybe even some new players. But some of the stuff might be a little too in the weeds for new players. I'll try to make it as absorbable as possible. But just instead of spending the actual money in the 1,500 silver, you can just get some easy Bright Dust and get this really cool armor set, in my opinion. This is actually, I think, one of the coolest ones for the Warlock. something I have to remember to pick up. This will not be disappearing tomorrow. We'll have at least until the end of the Rite of the Nine and the launch of the Edge of Fate in order to pick that up. For our Bright Dust main page, we had the Cleaver weapon ornament for the Lament, which I am actually going to pick up before I forget. A lot of talk on the last video that I made where I showed this about whether or not people think it's more of a Silent Hill Pyramid Head sword ornament or a Final Fantasy VII Cloud ornament. I would love to hear what people think in the comments section down below. That'll, of course, give you another entry into the next giveaway. Is it more Final Fantasy VII or more Silent Hill? I personally thought it was a little bit more Silent Hill, but when somebody did comment on the Final Fantasy VII, I couldn't help but agree that it definitely is in that ballpark. Maybe a little bit Monster Hunter, I also heard in the previous comments. So let me know what you think if you've been picking that up. All these other exotics, if you didn't have a chance to get them this week, I did enjoy the Flying Fortress ship. A couple of other cool ones. We had the Yo-Yo Trick emote. I might have to pick this up. I used to yo-yo back in the day. A little bit of information about me. You probably would make you want to turn off of this video, but yes, I in fact did when we were, well, if you, this might be dating me a little bit, so this also plays into the age, how old I'm turning question, but when I was in elementary school, yo-yos, specifically Yo-Mega yo-yos, were quite the thing. Anybody remember the yo-yo with a brain? If anybody remembers that, please let me know. I would love to hear the comments on that down below. So yeah, that was like my go-to thing. We didn't have double, was it Devil Sticks? I can't remember. There was Double Sticks, and then there was the like the yo-yo wheel thing. There was a lot of popular stuff like that back in the day when I was in my adolescence, I should say. But yo-yo was mine. I recently actually sold some of my Yo-Mega yo-yos on eBay, and people were really wanting them. I mean, I was surprised. The yo-yo market has not gone off that much over the last so many years. I won't say how many exactly, but over at Banshee 44 this week, we had some interesting weapons. Hopefully we'll have some better ones next week, but we did have a Nox Perennial, fully enhanceable, if you wanted to buy that. It's probably more for my solo players or new players out there. We had the Enigma Glaive, which can be crafted, and I realize I can't see it crafted here because I am on my PC currently, and I don't know which queen on my PC. I own it on my console, so that's why I cannot see the craftable option, but this can be crafted. This one is a pretty decent roll, though, with Feeding Frenzy and Thresh. I'm always curious to see what the haft is. We're looking for the Tempered Trust haft. That's always the best haft. And if you do craft this weapon, craft it with the Tempered Trust haft. It increases your melee speed by about a half a step over what would be considered normal or average. We had the Threaded Needle with Killing Wind, multi-kill clip. The Electric Principle with Zen Moment Harmony. This can be crafted. We had the Semotician with Keep Away, Danger Zone, and Head Rush. Also can be crafted. And then we have a Hull Denial with Adapted Munitions, Dragonfly, and Extrovert. Also can be crafted. A lot of people ask, what does it mean, the Deep Sight Activation and Crafted? There is a crafting table in Destiny, at least for the time being, as I believe crafting will be going away when Edge of Fate launches. Maybe not going away, but certainly all the new weapons will not be in the crafting realm. We're kind of moving away from that. We're moving to tier weapons, tier armor. I think it's a lot better. It's going to be a much more interesting system. But you can still craft these weapons. If you buy 3 of them and you have Deep Sight Harmonizers, you can use those to make this weapon craftable at the crafting table on Mars. So again, that might be a little bit in the weeds for new players, which is why I usually just say these can be crafted for those who are doing that often. But Deep Sight Harmonizers, I think, are also not going to be a thing in the foreseeable future. Again, craftable weapons are not going away completely, but they're not going to be moving forward into what will be the future weapons and ultimately the new meta of the game once those new weapons arrive. Over at Commander Zavala, we have this week as our featured Adept weapon, which was also going to be going away. None of these new weapons that we're going to be getting are going to be Adept. We're going to have a whole new system, and these weapons will just be better. I mean, not to say that Adept weapons won't be good anymore, but ultimately they will not be the highest standard of weapon. They're going to be kind of left in the dust, and tier weapons, at least tier 5 weapons, are going to ultimately be better than an adept weapon. Adept weapon will, I think, be, Bungie has stated, worth about a tier 3 weapon. So still not bad, and will still be usable for the majority of the new content. But once you get towards the new end game of the Edge of Fate, we're probably going to be forgetting about these weapons a bit. But we did have the Rake Angle Adept available this week, as well as Cruel Mercy Adept. You can complete this on the GM difficulty. I have heard Rake Angle is very good for some builds, especially some maybe defensive Titan builds. I'd be curious to know if anybody's using any of those in the comments section down below. Something of note that I talked about a while ago, and I did want to just make mention of again. Over on Edge of Fate Exotics, we do have the New Land Beyond available from the Tower Kiosk. Now, I don't know how accessible this is. There was a glitch early on where even if you hadn't bought the yearly expansion, or at least the ultimate form of the yearly expansion, you were able to still get this exotic from the Tower Kiosk, even if you just bought the base version of the expansion, which was like the $40 version versus the $100 version. I don't know if that's still the case, but just wanted to make note of it just in case anybody out there has not received their New Land Beyond yet. Also, remember, you are able to get a new shader for this month, the one that changes color for Pride Month. I will include, again, in the comments down below, the code in order to get that shader. It actually comes with an emblem as well. The emblem I think you will receive as soon as you enter the code. The shader will also be here. I think they might both be here. If you're having trouble finding out where they're sent to, go to your special deliveries at this particular terminal, the special delivery kiosk in the tower. If you're looking for that shader or the emblem, you've already inputted the code. Down at our favorite weekend vendor, XUR, who I, of course, covered on Friday, but I'll just reiterate a couple of interesting points regarding his loot for the week. We had the Graviton Lance Catalyst, and we had the Rat King Catalyst. Now, the Rat King Catalyst is a great catalyst if you're using it with the right build, Hunter build specifically, and you have a bunch of people using Rat King. This is an amazing weapon for DPS. A little bit niche, but certainly good. So pick it up if you don't have it, as it is one of those things that it just kind of works through some crazy logic. If you have a whole bunch of people using this, it's probably up there with the best DPS. Certainly the best DPS you could get out of a primary weapon alone. Graviton Lance Catalyst you just want, because it comes with Vorpal on it, and Vorpal on this weapon does a lot of crazy stuff. Vorpal in itself is one of the best perks on any weapon in the game, and a lot of people don't realize that it actually extends to things beyond just the weapon itself. So if you have any weapon or any ability that does a damage over time effect, if you just swap to a weapon that has Vorpal on it, it will increase the duration of those damage over time effects for a quite much longer time. I can't speak English right now. It make it go longer, much longer. It's just one of those weird things. I don't know why it does it, but say you have a damage over time effect that might only last 10 seconds. This will extend it probably to 25 seconds. It actually used to extend things indefinitely in some cases, but they did fix that. It's still pretty powerful though. So on this weapon, which does great AoE damage and does have sort of a damage over time effect as you sort of extend the initial blast of damage from the weapon on a particular enemy to all the enemies surrounding it, it'll continue to just do that effect over and over and over again. Plus, if you're doing anything else, like say you have a strand melee on your Warlock like I do, and you swap to this weapon with Vorpal, it'll continue to rebuff that melee for a long time. I mean, I haven't given a specific time frame for it. I haven't timed it myself, but it is at least double the time frame that Vorpal would normally last, or the ability itself or the effect would normally last. So it on this gun, it's just incredible. This is a great gun for PvE and PvP. It's very, very sticky in PvP. Oathkeeper 67 for the Hunter class. Can't shake your head at it. 67 is a great roll. We had Insurmountable Skull for it at 63. You could probably skip it. And the Eververse with a 70 roll. This is actually a great roll for PvP. So be sure to pick up one of these if you don't. You can also still farm exotic class items, of course, this weekend. We had a very good Hawk Moon this week. Everything else kind of mid-tier, if you ask. Nothing really stood out as far as legendary weapons were concerned, but some very good catalysts and a good Hawk Moon and some decent exotic armor. Down at Shader 1, 801, we are going to just check out those really quick, and then a couple other things of note around the directory, which also will be getting a big change come the Edge of Fate, which I am, well, I'm going to express my opinion about this. I'm not a fan of. Is the directory sort of sluggish and maybe not the best way to maneuver around and know exactly what you should be doing next? No, it is not. It's not good for that. But it is an interesting thing. It is unique to this game, and a portal, when we've had a bunch of planets on a screen that allows us to click around, we're digressing in my opinion. Like I don't personally like the portal that they've shown. I like a lot of the things that they're going to be doing. That is not one of them. Unfortunately, Kepler, the new planet, will not appear on the directory. So even though this whole thing will not be going away, and what I mean by this whole thing is this whole screen. I mean, let's look at it. It's cluttered. I mean, we got all kinds of icons. These, like, for example, I know that Bungie wants to sell this stuff, but we can get rid of these icons. I mean, do we really need these on this main screen? You could have them over here or something like that. We got this icon. I mean, these do not need to be on the screen. We got the Legends tab. We have the Pale Heart. It's a little overwhelming. Some of this stuff could be done better. But still, as a whole, tell me what other game has something like this. I mean, I'm sure there are some other games. Actually, you can tell me in the comment section down below if there are many other games like this. But it's just, I find it to be one of the more unique things. And the fact that this won't be disappearing, you'll still be able to use it, but it won't be necessary in any way. There'll be a whole portal that, yes, is there to help onboard players and streamline the process to know what you should be doing next to get the best loot. I still think that there were ways that they could have done that with this screen other than just having these small icons next to it that people who are new to the game maybe not even recognize. There were better ways than just throwing the entire baby out with the bathwater in this particular scenario. So you can let me know down below what you think about that. I am not against the portal. I'm just against this being basically pushed into the background. We've spent a lot of years looking at a directory like this, either in D2 or in D1. So yeah, kind of curious to see what people think about that. But while we're here, over on the Legends page this week, we had the node override for the Vexcalibur available. We had King's Fall raid, if you were looking to get the Touch of Malice. On the Eternity, we have Rite of the Nine, of course, still going on. This week's the Prophecy dungeon. If you're trying to farm out the weapons from Prophecy on Ultimatum or lower level difficulty, the best way to do that is still to farm the first encounter by doing the skip glitch for the sort of very, very first encounter. I'm talking about farming out the first boss, but there is, of course, a small encounter before the boss. Quickest way to get through that is to just do the skip where you run up through the pipe in the ceiling. I do have that in other videos if you're curious on how to do it. And then just getting to the first boss, taking out the first boss, and doing that over and over and over, repeating the process. Rite of the Nine we'll still have for a few more weeks. Eventually, after I think next week, we're going to have double loot for Prophecy, so keep that in mind. And then eventually we'll have all 3 dungeons available, which will be very cool. Down on the moon this week. Oh, I can go to it. We had the Garden of Salvation raid available. If you were looking to get the divinity, you still have a little bit of time to get that done. We also had the Duality dungeon available this week. Over on SAVATHUN'S Throne World, we had our featured dungeon, the Sundered Doctrine, which is still having issues, I think, with the Exoitc being handed out on more than one class per week. So when it is a featured dungeon or when it is the actual new dungeon to the game, you should be able to farm out that final encounter on one character as many times as you want as chances to get the featured Exoitc from said activity. That is not the case here. It is limiting you to once per character per week, which is not how it's supposed to work when it's the featured dungeon or a featured dungeon. So just keep that in mind. If you're farming out on one character, you're really only getting 3 chances per week, unfortunately, at the moment. Same thing over on Europa with the Vespers Host dungeon, which is our other featured dungeon for the week. The Icebreaker is not dropping on a single character more than once per week per character. So you're only getting really 3 chances per week. You should be able to farm out the final encounter as many times as you want. That's how it's supposed to work. But Bungie has not fixed that issue as of yet. And that is going to conclude the information for today's video. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel as always, and turn on the bell to post notifications so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 content like this. You can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter as always, or leave a comment down below, or maybe a guess at how old I actually am turning today. Any of those things will, of course, give you another entry into the next giveaway for this video. Also, again, thank you all so much for the donations on the channel as of late. If you are interested in doing that, again, I don't necessarily encourage anybody to do it, but if you are interested, the way you do it is simply by clicking those 3 little dots next to the share button down below, and that'll bring down a drop menu, which allows you to make a donation to the channel. Know that every donation, even $1, sometimes is worth thousands of views as far as on my end goes. So it's very much appreciated. I can't thank you all enough so much on the last video. It was above and beyond again. So if you are interested, that is the way to do it. And I've been encouraged by other friends of mine to at least just tell people about it, as I was been there for years, and I don't think I ever really mentioned that option before. So if you don't mention it, what's the chance that anybody even knows? And that's, I guess, where I'm at now in the process. But thank you again, really, from the bottom of my heart. Appreciate it. Anybody who does guess how old I'm turning today, thank you so much for paying attention and watching the video, as always. And once more, I am Wilhelm Scream. Of course, we will see you next time. I'm just going to be here chilling with Archie. Love you all.